Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Fooled by Randomness is built around one fundamental idea: human beings dramatically underestimate the role of luck. When we see someone succeed, we immediately search for an explanation. They were intelligent, disciplined, visionary. When someone fails, we do the opposite. They lacked discipline or misunderstood the situation. But Nassim Taleb asks us to consider another possibility. What if some of the outcome was simply random? A successful outcome does not necessarily prove that the process producing it was intelligent. Imagine 10,000 investors making risky decisions. Probability alone guarantees that some will produce impressive records. Eventually, journalists interview the winners, and we begin constructing explanations for why they had to succeed. One of the most important distinctions in the book is between process and outcome. A reckless decision that works out through sheer luck doesn't retroactively become a good decision. Taleb argues we constantly confuse these two. Imagine a person who drives dangerously fast for years and reaches home safely. If we judged only by outcome, we'd conclude dangerous driving is superior. That would be absurd, yet we reason this way in business and politics constantly. This leads to survivorship bias. We tend to study the winners because winners remain visible while the failures disappear. Taleb repeatedly asks us to remember the cemetery of failed alternatives. The visible world is only the world of survivors. If 10,000 people attempt a risky strategy and 100 succeed, we study those 100 and assume their traits cause success, ignoring the thousands who failed with the exact same characteristics. Taleb's solution is to think in terms of alternative histories. Instead of looking only at what happened, imagine what could reasonably have happened across all plausible outcomes. A winner in Russian roulette has a successful outcome, but it wasn't a wise strategy. Humans strongly prefer narratives. Randomness is psychologically uncomfortable. We want events to have causes, turning points, and heroes. This is hindsight bias. The past begins looking much more predictable than it actually was. The market falls, and the commentator explains why. The next day it rises, and another explanation appears. Taleb is skeptical. Large systems are too complex for these neat stories. Success looks deserved only after the fact. Then there's the problem of induction. Observe 1,000 white swans, and you'll conclude all swans are white. But one black swan destroys that conclusion. A strategy that works for 20 years isn't proof that disaster is impossible. Rare events can dominate everything. A trader might earn millions for 9 years, then lose 20 million in year 10. Taleb warns against strategies producing frequent small gains combined with rare enormous losses. Risk of ruin matters most. Imagine thousands of people flipping coins. Eventually, someone will predict 10 consecutive tosses. We interview the survivor and he explains his unique intuition. But there was no skill. With enough participants, someone had to survive. Success can make people stupid. A trader begins believing his own intelligence caused his wealth. This creates intellectual fragility. The more successful the random strategy becomes, the more dangerous its eventual failure can be. How often you are correct is less important than what happens when you are correct or incorrect. Someone can be right 95% of the time and still go bankrupt if the occasional loss is catastrophic. Probability requires thinking about magnitudes. The human mind is poorly designed for probabilistic environments. We want simple causal stories. But emotional satisfaction is not understanding. We must learn to distinguish noise from information. Even knowing probability doesn't remove emotion. Intellectual understanding and living comfortably with randomness are different achievements. Watching a portfolio lose money still hurts, even if you know it's just noise. Check your investment daily, and you see mostly noise and emotional stress. Check it every 5 years, and you observe long-term growth. More information is not automatically more knowledge. Often it's just more opportunities for emotional reaction. The media intensifies this problem by selecting only unusual events, disasters, crashes, and spectacular wealth. This produces a distorted picture of reality, making the world feel more dramatic and predictable than the underlying probabilities justify. We must distinguish between wealth and the process that produced it. The first accumulates gradually through controlled risk. The second exists because one unlikely outcome occurred. How vulnerable is your wealth to randomness? Underneath it all is epistemic humility. Humans dislike saying, "I don't know," but recognizing what cannot confidently be known is itself a form of knowledge. Uncertainty is often an accurate description of the world. Remember the 1,000 traders. The richest survivor publishes my 10 rules for success. But where are the books by the hundreds who followed similar strategies and failed? The survivor gets to explain history, and randomness is disguised as wisdom. Taleb isn't saying everything is random. Skill, knowledge, and decisions matter. The problem is that after seeing the outcome, we systematically exaggerate those factors and underestimate the randomness that narratively doesn't satisfy us. The book ultimately proposes a better way to think. Shift attention from outcomes to processes, from visible winners to invisible failures, and from frequency to consequences. These questions force us away from stories and toward probability. In conclusion, never confuse what happened with what had to happen. A winner may be skilled or just lucky. The winner is visible. The cemetery of failures is hidden. Probability requires thinking less like a storyteller and more like a probabilist. A decision should not be praised because it succeeded, but based on what was knowable at the time. Never confuse a favorable outcome with a good decision. Luck can make foolish people look brilliant, and bad luck can make intelligent people look foolish. Thank you for watching. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments.